Imagine that you walk into a regular supermarket. You take a basket and begin picking up the products you usually buy: bread, milk, vegetables, maybe some fruit or eggs. Nothing seems unusual at first. The shelves are full. The store looks the same as always. But when you finally reach the checkout, you notice something surprising. The total price is higher than you expected. You look at the receipt and realize that the same products you bought a year ago now cost noticeably more. Maybe the increase seems small for each item. A few cents here, a few cents there. But when you add everything together, the difference becomes obvious. And this situation is not unique to you. It is not happening only in your city or even in your country. It is happening all over the world. Across Europe, North America, Asia, and many developing countries, people are noticing the same trend. Everyday life is becoming more expensive. At the same time, the news is talking about something completely different. Every day we hear about the rapid rise of artificial intelligence. Technology companies are investing billions of dollars into new AI systems. Governments are discussing the impact of automation, and investors are pouring money into the technology sector. So the world seems to be moving in two different directions at the same time. On one hand, we are experiencing one of the fastest technological revolutions in human history. On the other hand, many economies are struggling with inflation, geopolitical tensions, and financial uncertainty. This creates an unusual economic moment, a moment where innovation and instability exist side by side. In this video, we will explore several important questions. What is happening to the global economy in 2026? Why are prices still rising even after years of economic recovery? How is artificial intelligence transforming industries and productivity? And what could all of this mean for the future of jobs, incomes, and economic inequality? To understand the future, we first need to understand the present. So let's begin with the big picture. To understand the current economic situation, we need to look at the global scale. The world economy is enormous and incredibly complex. It includes thousands of financial markets, millions of businesses, and billions of consumers. Despite all this complexity, economists try to measure global economic activity using a few key indicators. One of the most important is global GDP, or gross domestic product. GDP measures the total value of goods and services produced in the world economy. According to recent forecasts, global GDP is expected to grow by around 3 to 3.3% in 2026. At first glance, this may seem like a healthy number. But when economists evaluate growth, they also look at historical trends. During strong economic expansions, global GDP growth can reach 4 or even 5% per year. Compared to those periods, today's growth looks relatively modest. In other words, the world economy is still expanding, but it is not growing as fast as many people expected. So why is global growth slowing down? There are several major reasons. First, the world is still dealing with the long-term consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic. During the pandemic, supply chains were disrupted, businesses closed temporarily, and governments spent enormous amounts of money to support their economies. Many of those effects are still influencing economic activity today. Second, international trade has become more complicated. Trade conflicts between major economic powers have increased tariffs and created uncertainty for global companies. When companies are unsure about the future of trade policies, they tend to invest less and move more cautiously. Third, interest rates have risen in many countries. Higher interest rates make borrowing more expensive, which slows down economic activity. And finally, geopolitical instability continues to affect the global economy. Conflicts, political tensions, and regional crises can disrupt trade, increase energy prices, and create uncertainty in financial markets. All of these factors combined have created a global economy that is stable, but fragile. And this brings us to another important issue: the cost of living. Even when economic growth continues, many people feel that their financial situation is getting worse. Why does this happen? To answer that question, we need to talk about inflation. Inflation has become one of the most important economic topics of the last decade. Simply put, inflation means that prices are rising over time. When inflation occurs, the same amount of money buys fewer goods and services than before. For example, imagine that a cup of coffee costs $2 today. If inflation continues, that same cup of coffee might cost $2.20 next year, and maybe $2.50 a few years later. This gradual increase may seem small, but over time it significantly reduces purchasing power. High inflation affects almost every part of daily life. Food becomes more expensive, rent increases, transportation costs rise, utility bills grow larger. At the same time, wages do not always increase at the same speed as prices. When that happens, people feel poorer even if their income has not changed. Over the last few years, inflation increased rapidly in many parts of the world. Although inflation has started to slow down, it is still higher than what economists consider comfortable. But inflation does not appear randomly. It is usually caused by specific economic forces. One of the most important of these forces is energy. Energy plays a critical role in the modern economy. Factories need electricity to produce goods. Trucks need fuel to transport products. Airplanes need fuel to move people and cargo across the world. When energy prices rise, the cost of producing and transporting goods also increases. And when production costs increase, companies often raise their prices. This is why changes in oil and gas prices can affect almost every industry. Geopolitical conflicts can make this situation even more complicated. If conflicts disrupt energy supply, prices can rise very quickly. This creates a difficult situation for governments and central banks. They must try to control inflation without damaging economic growth. And that leads us to the next topic: interest rates. Central banks are among the most powerful institutions in modern economies. Their main responsibility is to maintain financial stability and control inflation. One of their most important tools is the interest rate. Interest rates determine how expensive it is to borrow money. When central banks raise interest rates, borrowing becomes more expensive. This affects the economy in several ways. People may delay buying homes or cars because loans are more costly. Businesses may postpone investments in new factories or equipment. Financial markets may also become more cautious. All of these effects reduce overall spending in the economy. When spending decreases, demand for goods and services slows down. And when demand slows down, price increases usually become smaller. In other words, higher interest rates help reduce inflation. However, this policy also has risks. If interest rates remain high for too long, economic growth can slow down too much. Businesses may hire fewer workers. Construction projects may stop. Consumer confidence may decline. That is why central banks must carefully balance their decisions. They must slow inflation without pushing the economy into recession. This balancing act is one of the biggest challenges facing economic policymakers today. While traditional economic forces continue to shape the world, another powerful transformation is happening at the same time. That transformation is artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is not just another technological trend. Many economists believe it could become one of the most important innovations since the invention of the internet. AI systems can analyze data, recognize patterns, generate text and images, and even assist with complex decision-making. Because of these abilities, companies around the world are investing heavily in AI technology. Technology giants are building massive data centers. Chip manufacturers are developing more powerful processors. Startups are creating new AI tools for industries such as healthcare, finance, and education. These investments are already influencing global economic activity. Artificial intelligence has the potential to significantly increase productivity. Productivity measures how efficiently an economy can produce goods and services. When productivity increases, economies can grow faster without requiring more workers or resources. AI can improve productivity in many ways. It can automate routine tasks, allowing workers to focus on more complex work. It can analyze large data sets faster than humans. It can help companies optimize logistics, reduce waste, and improve decision-making. Even small improvements in productivity can have a massive impact when applied to the entire global economy. Despite its enormous potential, artificial intelligence also raises concerns among economists and investors. One of these concerns is the possibility of a technology bubble. Economic bubbles occur when investors become overly optimistic about a new industry. As excitement grows, more and more money flows into the sector. Stock prices rise rapidly, sometimes much faster than the actual profits of the companies involved. Eventually, reality catches up with expectations. If companies cannot deliver the profits investors predicted, stock prices may fall dramatically. History provides several examples of this pattern. During the late 1990s, the internet boom led to massive investments in technology companies. Many investors believed the internet would transform the economy overnight. While the internet did eventually change the world, many early companies failed. When investors realized that profits would take longer to appear, stock prices collapsed in the early 2000s. A similar situation occurred during the global housing bubble before the financial crisis of 2008. Today, some analysts are asking whether the excitement around artificial intelligence could create similar risks. Technology companies connected to AI are receiving huge investments and reaching extremely high valuations. The key question is whether these companies will generate enough real economic value to justify those valuations. Perhaps the most personal economic question for many people is this: what will happen to jobs in the age of artificial intelligence? Technological change has always affected the labor market. In the past, machines replaced many forms of manual labor. Factories automated production lines. Agriculture became increasingly mechanized. But at the same time, entirely new industries appeared. Computers created jobs in software development, digital design, cybersecurity, and many other fields. Artificial intelligence may follow a similar pattern. Some jobs may disappear, especially those involving repetitive tasks. But new jobs may emerge in areas such as AI development, data analysis, and digital services. The challenge is that this transition may not happen smoothly. Workers may need new skills. Education systems may need to adapt. Governments may need new policies to support people during economic transitions. Because of these uncertainties, some economists have proposed new ideas such as universal basic income. This policy would provide citizens with a guaranteed financial payment, regardless of their employment status. While the idea remains controversial, it reflects the growing discussion about how technology could reshape the future of work. The global economy in 2026 is defined by a powerful contradiction. On one side, the world faces serious economic challenges: inflation, geopolitical instability, and uncertain financial markets. On the other side, humanity is experiencing an extraordinary wave of technological innovation. Artificial intelligence, automation, and digital technologies may dramatically transform industries, productivity, and global growth. The outcome of these changes is still uncertain. Technology could create enormous wealth and improve living standards around the world. But it could also increase inequality if the benefits are concentrated among a small number of companies and individuals. The key challenge for the coming decades will be finding a balance. A balance between innovation and stability, between economic growth and social fairness. Because the decisions made today will shape the global economy of tomorrow. And ultimately, they will shape the future of all of us.